The email that should never exist. The email arrived at 8:07 a.m. Daniel Carter was still stirring sugar into his coffee when his phone vibrated. He almost ignored it. He wishes he had. The subject line read, "Termination notice, effective immediately." Daniel frowned. That couldn't be right. He worked at Northbridge Finance for 10 years. 10 years of overtime. 10 years of loyalty. 10 years of fixing other people's mistakes. His fingers trembled slightly as he opened the message. 3 sentences. That was all it took to erase a decade of his life. Due to internal restructuring, your employment with Northbridge Finance has been terminated effective immediately. Please return all company property. Access to company systems has been revoked. Daniel blinked slowly. Restructuring. He looked around the office floor. Nothing looked different. People were laughing. Typing. Drinking coffee. No one else seemed fired. Across the room, Victor Langford, the CEO, walked out of the elevator. Tall, calm, perfect suit, the man who had hired Daniel personally 10 years ago. For a second, their eyes met. Victor looked away instantly. Too quickly. Daniel felt something strange in his chest. Not sadness, suspicion, mourning. Daniel. He turned. Olivia Grant stood beside him, financial analyst, smart, sharp, and the closest thing Daniel had to a friend in the office. Look at this. Daniel said quietly. He showed her the email. Her face drained of color. This has to be a mistake. Daniel shook his head slowly. My computer already logged me out. Right on cue, his laptop screen turned black. Access denied. A few coworkers nearby started whispering. One of them glanced over with that awkward expression people give when they don't know whether to feel sorry for you or avoid you. Humiliation crept across the room like smoke. Olivia leaned closer. Daniel. Something is wrong. What do you mean? I stayed late last night. Daniel waited. I saw Victor and the CFO arguing in the conference room. Daniel shrugged slightly. That happens. Olivia shook her head. No, this was different. She lowered her voice. They were talking about moving money before the audit. Daniel froze. The audit, Northbridge's biggest financial audit in company history, was scheduled next month. Millions would be examined, every account, every transaction. Daniel's stomach tightened. What exactly did you hear? He asked. Olivia swallowed. Victor said. Daniel cannot see these files before the audit. Daniel's pulse quickened, and the CFO said. She hesitated. What? Olivia looked around carefully, then whispered, don't worry. By tomorrow morning he won't be here. Silence filled the space between them. Daniel slowly looked back at the email, then toward Victor's glass office. For the first time, the firing didn't feel random, it felt planned. But before Daniel could say anything, Olivia's phone buzzed. She checked the message, then her face went pale. Daniel. What? She turned the screen toward him. Internal company message, subject line, confidential investigation notice. Daniel read the first sentence. His heart stopped. Former employee Daniel Carter is currently under investigation for suspected financial fraud. Daniel stared at the words. They're accusing me. Olivia whispered something that made the situation worse. Daniel. They didn't just fire you. She looked terrified. They're trying to make you the criminal. Daniel slowly raised his eyes toward Victor's office, and in that moment he realized something chilling. This wasn't a mistake, it was a setup, but Daniel had no idea yet. The worst betrayal was still coming, and it would come from someone he trusted. Public humiliation. The news spread through the office faster than a wildfire. By 9:30 a.m., everyone knew. Daniel Carter. 10-year employee. Fraud suspect. The whispers followed him as he walked across the office to collect his belongings. Did you hear? 10 million missing. I always thought he was too perfect. Daniel clenched his jaw. 10 million. He had never stolen a dollar. Inside the small cardboard box were pieces of a life he had built here. A mug, a framed photo of the company team from 5 years ago, an award plaque, Employee Excellence, Daniel Carter. Olivia watched silently from her desk. Anger burned in her eyes. This is wrong, she said. Daniel forced a calm smile. It's fine. It's not fine. At that moment, the HR director approached them. Cold smile. Daniel, security will escort you out." Daniel nodded quietly, but just as he turned to leave, Victor Langford stepped out of his office. The entire floor fell silent. Victor walked slowly toward Daniel, then said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "I'm disappointed, Daniel." Daniel felt something break inside him. "You believed I would steal from the company?" Victor sighed. "The evidence speaks for itself." Daniel stared at him. "You know that's a lie." Victor leaned closer, and whispered something only Daniel could hear, "Some sacrifices are necessary." Daniel froze. Then Victor straightened his tie and walked away. The message was clear. Daniel had just been made the fall guy, but something else happened in that moment, something Victor did not expect. Instead of breaking, Daniel started thinking, and when Daniel Carter started thinking, people usually regretted it, because somewhere inside the building, the real crime was hidden, and Daniel was about to start looking for it. But first, he would discover another betrayal, one that would hurt far worse. The first clue: Daniel was halfway home when his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Then he answered. "Daniel Carter?" "Yes." The voice was calm. "Stop looking into Northbridge." Daniel frowned. "What?" "If you value your freedom, disappear quietly." The call ended. Daniel stared at the phone. Fear crawled through his spine. But something else appeared too: determination. If someone was threatening him, then Olivia was right. Something big was hidden inside Northbridge, and Daniel had just been removed before the audit. That meant one thing: someone inside the company had access to financial records, someone who could prove Daniel's innocence. But when Daniel opened his laptop at home, he discovered something strange. An anonymous email had arrived, attachment included, subject line: "You deserve the truth." Inside the attachment was a spreadsheet, thousands of transactions, accounts, transfers, and one name appeared repeatedly: Victor Langford. Daniel leaned closer to the screen. Then he noticed something terrifying. Every suspicious transaction had one thing in common: they had all been approved by someone in Daniel's department, someone he trusted, someone whose name appeared on almost every file. Daniel whispered the name out loud. Olivia. His heart began pounding. Was Olivia helping him, or had she been part of the setup from the beginning? Daniel looked again at the spreadsheet, then noticed something else, at the bottom of the file. A hidden note, just 4 words: "The truth is bigger." Daniel felt a cold chill, because suddenly the situation looked much worse than he imagined. This wasn't just about one CEO, this was about something much larger, something that could destroy the entire company. And if Daniel was right, the next person they might silence was him. The conspiracy gets bigger. The spreadsheet on Daniel's laptop made his heart pound. Millions of dollars had moved through hidden accounts. The transfers were quiet, clean, carefully disguised. Someone had been stealing money from Northbridge Finance for years. And the strange part: every transaction required 2 approvals. One was Victor Langford. The second approval sometimes showed Daniel's employee ID. Daniel leaned back in his chair, stunned. "They framed me perfectly," he whispered. If investigators looked at the records, it would appear that Daniel had approved the transfers himself. His phone buzzed. It was Olivia. "Daniel, we need to talk." His stomach tightened. "About what?" "I know who sent you that file." Daniel froze. "What do you mean?" "Meet me tonight," Olivia said quietly. "You're not the only person who knows what's happening inside Northbridge." Daniel ended the call slowly. For the first time since being fired, he realized something terrifying. This wasn't just corruption, this was a network of lies, and people inside the company were secretly watching each other. But one question kept echoing in his mind: if Olivia knew about the file, why did her name appear on the transactions, and was she helping him, or helping Victor? Losing everything. 3 days later, Daniel's life collapsed completely. His bank accounts were frozen. Investigators contacted him. His reputation was destroyed online. Headlines appeared on financial blogs: "Senior analyst under fraud investigation." Friends stopped answering calls. Former co-workers avoided him. Even his landlord looked uncomfortable when collecting rent. Daniel realized something brutal. Victor had not just fired him, Victor had erased him. That night Daniel met Olivia in a quiet diner. She looked exhausted. "You're being framed," she said. Daniel laughed bitterly. "That's obvious." Olivia leaned closer. "Victor isn't acting alone." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" "There's another investor group behind him." She slid a flash drive across the table. "These are internal meeting recordings." Daniel stared at the drive. "You stole company data?" Olivia shook her head. "No." Her voice dropped. "They asked me to spy on you." Daniel's heart stopped. "What?" "The company thought you were leaking financial secrets months ago," Olivia said. "They told me to get close to you." The words hit Daniel like a punch. Their friendship, every conversation, every moment, it had all been a setup. But Olivia whispered something else. "And then I discovered the real crime." Daniel stared at her. "So you switched sides?" Olivia nodded. "Yes." But Daniel still didn't know if he could trust her, because the woman sitting across from him had already betrayed him once. Daniel opened the flash drive. The recordings revealed something explosive. Victor Langford had been secretly moving corporate funds into shell companies overseas. But the real shock came later. The investors behind the scheme included members of Northbridge's board of directors. Daniel exhaled slowly. "This is bigger than Victor." Olivia nodded. "They planned to move all the money before the audit. And blame me." "Yes." Daniel leaned forward. "Then we exposed them." Olivia shook her head. "It's not that simple." "Why?" "Because Victor already planned for that." She opened another file. Inside it was a legal document, signed by the board. It stated that Daniel Carter had full financial control of the department. Daniel's name was everywhere. The setup was airtight. Unless Daniel could prove the truth, he would go to prison. But then Daniel noticed something inside the recording. A detail Victor had overlooked, a mistake, and suddenly, Daniel smiled for the first time since losing his job. Daniel's revenge did not start with anger, it started with patience. He began studying every financial record, every transfer, every email. Victor believed Daniel was powerless. That was the mistake, because Daniel knew the company's systems better than anyone, and buried deep inside the records. He found something interesting. Victor had used private email accounts to coordinate transactions, accounts that were not protected by corporate security. Daniel turned to Olivia. "If we expose these publicly?" Olivia nodded slowly. "Victor will destroy us." Daniel smiled. "Not if we make the board turn against him first." And so the plan began. 2 weeks later something shocking happened. Olivia received a promotion offer from Victor himself. Daniel frowned. "That's strange." Olivia looked nervous. "He wants me back inside the finance department." Daniel understood instantly. Victor suspected something. "He wants to watch you." Olivia nodded. "But it gives us access." Daniel thought carefully. This could help us. But neither of them realized something terrifying. Victor Langford already knew they were working together, and he had his own trap waiting. Daniel received a message from a former coworker. Marcus, his closest friend at Northbridge. "Daniel, I'm sorry about everything. I want to help." Daniel felt hope for the first time, but when Marcus arrived, he revealed something shocking. "Victor offered me your position." Daniel froze, and Marcus looked ashamed. "I accepted." Silence filled the room. Marcus continued speaking. "But I discovered something worse." "What?" "The board plans to close the investigation soon." Daniel frowned. "Why?" Marcus swallowed. "Because they plan to officially declare you guilty." Daniel realized something brutal. They weren't just framing him, they were finishing the story. Daniel's revenge plan moved into action. Olivia secretly recorded Victor during meetings. Marcus leaked internal schedules. Daniel gathered evidence quietly. Then he contacted someone powerful, a financial journalist, someone known for exposing corporate scandals. Within days, a major investigation began quietly. Victor still believed he was in control, but the ground beneath him was starting to crack. The board meeting started like any normal meeting, until the journalist walked in. Victor's face changed instantly. The journalist placed printed documents on the table. Financial transfers, emails, secret accounts. Victor's voice turned cold. "Daniel Carter is responsible." But then Olivia spoke. "No." She played the recordings. Victor's own voice filled the room. Silence followed. For the first time, the board realized the truth. Victor Langford had been stealing from them. Within hours, the news spread everywhere. Victor Langford was arrested. Northbridge stock collapsed. Investigators reopened the case. Daniel's name was cleared, but something still felt unfinished, because someone else had helped Victor. And that person had not been exposed yet. Daniel reviewed the records. Again, one detail appeared repeatedly: a private investor, hidden behind anonymous accounts. When Daniel traced the ownership, he discovered something shocking. The investor was Marcus, his closest friend. Daniel confronted Marcus privately. Marcus laughed. "You think Victor was the mastermind?" Daniel stared at him. Marcus leaned forward. "I designed the entire scheme." Daniel felt the final truth settle in. Marcus had used Victor as the public face, but Marcus had been the real criminal, and Daniel already had the evidence. Marcus was arrested 2 days later. The financial scheme collapsed. Northbridge survived. Daniel was offered his job back. He refused. Instead, he started a consulting firm, and Olivia joined him as a partner, but the experience changed him forever, because Daniel had learned something powerful: the most dangerous enemies in life are not strangers. They are the people you trust without question, and sometimes betrayal is not the end. Sometimes it is the beginning of freedom. Sometimes betrayal does not destroy you. Sometimes it reveals who was never meant to stay in your life. If you enjoyed this story, please kindly like, comment and subscribe for more life lessons.